what has been happening so far from the regulatory side. We've had conversations from those who started way back in the 90s. And now we are looking at amazing co-founders who are leveraging the power of recent technology like AI to help you in your fintech journey. So today, help me welcome my guest for the show, the CEO of Lada. Drum roll, Maame Abrema Quarm. Maame, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's always nice to connect with you.
100%. And Mami, for those who don't know you, tell us what you've been up to.
So, I am the co founder and CEO of Ladder. At Ladder, essentially, what we do is we build AI powered wealth management solutions. So, we seek to help individuals, people, and their businesses effectively manage their finances well, effectively manage the way that they save, invest, and spend their money
Okay.
using the power of AI. Yeah.
Yes, and AI is super sexy now. So let's just do a bit of a deep dive to the AI bit of Ladder. Can you just provide a detailed walkthrough of the technical side of Ladder's AI and its development process? Did you wait till AI was all the buzz, or have you always had AI integrated?
Yeah, I think even recently I was looking at the very first memo that I wrote for Lada to our very first investor, and it actually did speak about using artificial intelligence to support individuals. And I would say that from day one, our focus was always helping people not only have the platform, but also
Mm.
actually have the knowledge and the data. So what does that mean? We started at a time where we saw a lot of buzz around fintech. We saw a lot of different fintech solutions that would help people invest their money, save their money, do one
Okay.
financial service or the other. But we
Mhm.
felt like the real power of tech was not just giving you the platform where you could take those actions, but actually show you how you could do them step by step, right? And so for us, that looked like actually unifying your financial life, connecting your bank
Right.
accounts, mobile money wallets, actually letting you understand, first of all, where's all of your money going? What are you doing with your money? Who are you as a
Mm.
person financially? And then, secondly,
Mm.
say, based on who you are, based on your preferences, based on your goals, this is the way that you can build your financial life and climb that ladder step by step. So it has always
Mm.
been from day one about the intelligence engine really that powers and
Okay.
supports our users. That was always our differentiator. Now, it did
Mm.
help us actually when the AI boom happened because it was then easier to have a reference point. So you can explain to someone that, okay, it's like having like a fintech aggregator with a personalized chat GPT, and investors,
Right.
partners, customers are able to visualize that a lot more. So it made our work a lot easier, I would say. In terms of the development process, I think thanks to my amazing team, thanks to my amazing co-founder and CTO,
Mm.
we've had a slightly different approach than most in the market. So again, AI boom goes on. A lot of people are wrapping around OpenAI's APIs. What we
Yes.
actually decided to do was to create I would say like multimodal system of different large language models. So what that means is that you have a bunch of different models that are specialized for specific things rather than
Okay.
having one general model. So this happened because obviously as we're designing it, we became also familiar with the limitations of LLMs. We understand their hallucinations. We understand how bad they are at math. And we
Yes.
realized that probably the best ways to do this was to create actually a network of systems that are all
Right.
specialized with different functions. So the
Okay.
AI encodes that would help you, let's say, plan your investment portfolio would be different from the one that helps you create a budget and adjust that budget on the go, right?
Okay.
But for the end user, they see it as the same thing.
Of
They all see
course.
it as Lady, which is our intelligence engine called Lady.
Smart. Love
Um,
it.
so yeah, that has been our process and our approach so far. I think what's incredible about this is that it's still a frontier technology. And so our team is always, involved in like reading research papers, learning what's the latest, when a new problem is solved, when people figure out how to manage things like hallucination, that's also a win for us. And so we also feel like we're a part of like a broader conversation as well.
Right. I love it, and I love the way you keep stressing and mentioning your team. So let's go into that. How was it like building a strong team for Lad, especially explaining how you have been able to leverage even different elements of AI, bringing them all into one? Is your team first of all Ghanaian? Where did you meet them? How were you able to bring that strong team together?
Our team is majority Ghanaian, although we do have a number of people from different places. We have people from Nigeria, we have people from other parts of Africa, but we're also not all located in Ghana. So a couple of us are in the UK, US, and so on. Honestly, I think so, a lot of the time when I talk about this, there's definitely an element of the divine. I would say
Right.
probably the strongest thing is for me as a founder, having a very clear vision of what it was that I wanted and what it was
Okay.
that I felt should exist in the world, and being able to communicate that vision very clearly. Because I
Mm,
find that with people, that really motivates them when they actually believe in what you're doing. They are
mm,
motivated to want to join. I've had people that have sought me out, sent me emails. They will even just do some work and just send it to me saying, hey, like I really just want to be a part of what it is that you're building. And
mm.
then I think as well, it's also just important to, for me, one thing that draws me to people that will be on the team is how clearly they're also able to express themselves, how
Yeah.
strongly they're able to express themselves. And it's interesting because I think in Ghana, we tend to be quite shy. Even me myself, when I started, I was quite shy, but when I'm talking about what my vision is, my passion comes out. And so I think
Mm,
I also developed the skill of being able to identify people that are also quite smart, that are also quite focused and have clear thinking, and ultimately just want to contribute to something great and build something that we don't necessarily see every day in this part
mm,
of the world. Yeah.
mm, mm. So were there, apart from being able to speak out, not being shy, being passionate, were there other qualities you looked out for? You certainly looked out for skill sets, yes?
For sure. For me, especially when it came to my co-founder now, I think he had a very strong sense of first principles thinking. And
Okay.
that's something that I quite appreciate. So as we first had our early conversations, as we first connected, I really got to understand that this isn't necessarily someone that does all the talk, but he does do all the work. So
Mm,
I think for me, people that are able to think beyond what they see and are able to actually make compelling arguments. So in the early days, there were certain things that I wanted to do. In our very first conversation, I was telling him
yeah.
plans that I had for the team and for the product, and he was like, no, I don't think that that will work the way that you think it will,
Mm,
and even just to be able to draw that out, identify it, and us have that tete-a-tete conversation, I really did appreciate it. And I really
mm,
felt like, okay, this is someone that is coming not to just be a passive bystander, but in
mm.
being active, is going to be active. And for us as a company in general, I think I've managed to keep a small team all this
Okay.
time. And so
Mm,
what that means is that no one can really hide. So it is a very high pressure, fast paced environment. We
right.
culturally are we insist on ownership, right? And
Mm,
so it is the sort of thing where if it's for you, it's for you, and if it's not, it's
mm,
not. But the people that stick and stay with us, they love it here. And ultimately, there are people that also care about having impact in their work. So we don't always get it right, but I think that when we don't get it right, we naturally things self-correct because the
mm.
environment is just what it is. Yes.
Oh, well, I think everybody can take a page from your book. It sounds really inspiring what you are doing. And I see that the team has also been getting a couple of recognitions. We recently covered you in our Innovators Innovation Journal newsletter that you were in Tech Stars. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a bit about funding and investment for Ladder?
Oh.
So, what's usually your approach to securing funding? I know a good friend of mine, Paul Damali, has been a big like funder and believer in Ladder as well. How have you been able to navigate that?
Yeah, honestly, I think for me, it's always interesting because I was having this conversation earlier this week about what would I have done differently. And funny enough, I think I would have probably focused on raising funding less.
Okay.
It sounds a little strange, but I
Mm.
think so. We started in 2021, right? And that
Okay.
was just around when the funding boom was going on. And so in that era, it seemed like you hear all these people in tech crunch, tech cabal, this person raised 1 million, this person raised 5 million. It
Yeah.
seems,
Mm-hmm.
boom, you're great at business. That is the goal, right? And
Mm.
it almost created this false sense that the business will run on fundraising and external
Mm.
capital, which is very different from actually how businesses have been run, especially in Africa, all of this time, right? And especially for me, when I was starting, I was a very green-eyed founder. I didn't have any savings. I had just finished college. I got one person
Yeah.
that believed in me and wrote a check, and it then created this cycle of, okay, we need to build product, we need to build product, we need to figure
Mm.
that out, and we weren't as focused on revenue and distribution. And so, with
Okay.
the funding downturn, we have had to focus on revenue. We have had to say, okay, how much
Mm.
revenue do we need to make to pay salaries? How much
Okay.
revenue do we need to pay to pay for other expenses? And I think that's the
Mm.
signs of a healthy business, to be fair.
Mm.
However, I think during that time as well, fundraising really taught me a lot about relationship management. It taught
Right.
me a lot about just even communicating the vision, communicating what it is that you're building in a way that people can understand. So the way
Mm-hmm.
that I would talk about the business to an engineer cannot be the same way I talk about it to a customer, cannot be the
Mm.
same way I talk about it to an investor, right?
Okay.
And also just even thinking about, for founders like me, I'm very product driven, very product centric. I had to
Mm.
switch from that mentality to enter a business centric mentality.
Mm.
So to enter growth, to address business development, and to actually
Right.
think about what does it mean to grow and sustain a business. So I think
Mm.
that the exercise of fundraising is very important for every single founder to go through. It's even just very important to be told no several times, especially if you're one of those people that's very smart and thinks you have all the ideas and you're just
Right.
great.
Mm.
It's a
Mm.
humbling but character building experience to be told no, and to also learn and iterate. So, for example, when we first started and we're fundraising, a lot of people would just say, "We've seen this before. We've seen this product before. How are you different? How are you different?" And
Yes.
that caused us to actually make that inquiry with ourselves, like, how is Ladder supposed to be different? And we said, okay, it's
Mhm.
Lady, because at the end of the day, for us, it's not just the platform, but it's actually how we are giving users the intelligence to support them. And so that
Mm.
gave us that distinction. And to even think about other things about how we spin off different products and services off of that core differentiator. And I think we would have come to that realization eventually. But I think having that exercise of fundraising, having to keep refining our pitch and thinking deeply about our business definitely was a catalyst to us getting a clearer vision of where to be right now. Yes. I would say, to answer your question directly, people that are trying to look for funding, the most
Mm.
important thing is what actually our first investor told me, which is that
Okay.
you should try to go as far as you can with what you have right now, right?
Okay.
So, especially in this market, investors are a lot more they're a lot more tight-fisted. They're a lot more. There's
Mm.
less capital overall, so they're going to be a
Mm.
lot more judicious and a lot more stringent on where they allocate it, especially in this environment. So what
Mm.
you need to do is to figure out what resources, in terms of people and networks, in terms of personal finances, in terms of even like what you've done so far, your savings, can you put to the business? What technical skills do you have? Is there a consultant? Is there somebody that can just help you build
Mm.
this and get to a level of validation that this is a viable business before you go out to the market? Right. And so even for us, we decided in the last, I would say, 9 to 12 months to not raise money at all and to
Okay.
instead focus on building revenue. And in that time, we've grown our revenue by 136x, right? And if I could tell
Right.
you, like,
Hold up. We
if
need to applaud for this.
and I can tell you, like, if you focus on fundraising, it will suck all your time. And the
Mm.
sad part about it is that that's the time that you would also go and use to grow the business. But the investors
Mm.
that you're talking to will also be expecting to be seeing those results that you would get
Exactly.
if you were focusing on building the business and not talking to them. So I
Mm.
think getting back into that mentality, especially as an early stage founder, that first and foremost, I need to prove that this is a business that is viable and is worth
Okay.
investing in. Is the most important thing first. Try to go as far as you can with what you have. And it helps you
Mm,
too because you also get to maintain a certain amount of equity. And
mm.
ultimately, you will have leverage in those funding conversations.
Spot on. Oh my gosh. And we really do have to pause to applaud the congrats on being able to grow your revenue by 136. And if you're just joining, I'm speaking with Maame Abrema Quarm. She's the CEO of Ladder. Ladder is an AI driven platform that helps you to save, invest, and manage your expenses. My name is Ammishaddai Ofori, and you are watching the Ghana Innovation Journal's Innovator Spotlight. So we are continuing with where Mame left off. She mentioned a good part of raising funds is also about your mindset. So now, Mame, especially for you, how have you been able to maintain a growth mindset to ensure you're continuously learning and you're also stimulating your team members to be able to take ownership, like you said, and grow that culture of ownership and just constantly finding solutions?
Yeah, so one thing that we picked from Techstars was this concept of tracking your weekly KPIs. So
Okay.
actually, a credit to who you mentioned earlier, Paul. He's no longer an investor, but one of the things that he taught us and impressed upon us was OKRs, objectives and key results, right?
Mm,
And having just very specific company goals from which
mm,
everything sort of flows from. And so what we started doing is we have weekly town halls. And in
okay.
Texas, actually, what it would be like is all the companies in the class are there, and every week you have to share your KPI board. So if let's
Wow.
say you said this week you would get 100 new customers and you got 50, you're going to have to talk about that. And that does
Mm,
give you a certain sense of, okay, what do I need to do to push this number? So we brought
mm,
that same thing in house. We set company objectives and key results. And then from that, every team knew exactly what it was that their KPIs were. So I got to a certain point in my team, I had to tell them, look, because if you achieve it, it's red. If you are midway, it's yellow. And if you don't achieve it, it's red. If you're
it's
midway, it's yellow. And if you do, it's green. So I had to tell my team, look, you can't come every week and it's red because if every week
red
it's red,
or a
we're
yellow.
doing something wrong,
Mhm,
And
mhm.
it was a turning point where now we have weeks where we are completely smashing it and we're even shocked that we're saying we
Nice.
need to set more ambitious goals. So I
Mm,
think when you have a very clear goal and you have the bigger vision of what it is you are trying to do, but being able to break it down into quarters, months, weeks, and everyone knows that this is what we're working towards, it's a lot easier for people to have ownership because they know I am responsible for this specific metric.
mm, mm.
And I think that even within my team themselves, we really enjoy this. When we haven't hit the goals, we felt it collectively, and when we have, we've also felt the excitement collectively as well. So I think setting very clear, specific metrics and goals has
Mm.
definitely been the key driver of our growth.
Okay, Mami. And you've mentioned a couple of greens, so I'm curious to know for customers, how have you been able to maintain and then also gather and utilize your customer insights? So is AI also behind your customer insights? Is there a way that you are able to do it that maybe you can share with others?
So it's two things. The first is quantitative data, and this is mainly the product metrics. So we've actually done a lot of work as well in the last 3 to 6 months to set up our internal data dashboards so that we can actually track what people are doing on our app. For
Mm,
example, with our AI lady, we set a goal of having a specific number of daily active users with Lady, just to
okay.
understand how our customers were reacting to Lady, for example. And then obviously as well qualitative data. So actually talking to customers. So we realized late last year that there were lots of people that downloaded the app, but they never
Mm,
actually did anything because they hadn't heard from us. They weren't too
okay.
sure. They were perhaps a bit curious, but they
Mm,
hadn't taken more steps. And so we literally started calling customers. And
oh.
we're It's super early, so there's no customer service department. It's like me, the marketing
Mm,
associate. We're just calling people, talking to them. And I think
mm,
doing that helped us connect a bit more with our customers. We would ask them things like, where do you work? How did you hear about us? Why did you download the app? To
Mm,
really truly understand what it was that our customers want. And this was
mm,
really transformative. So, for example, for Q2, we had
mm.
a goal to deliver a full production version of Lady, right?
Okay.
And after talking to our customers consistently, we actually learned that lots of people came to our app because they wanted to understand how better to manage their finances and track
Right.
budgets. So even
Mm,
though we had expense management further down our roadmap, we decided to bring it up. And then what we
right.
would do is create a production version of Lady that relates specifically to expense management. And we would do
Mm,
that incrementally. So
mm,
that's something that if we had not been paying attention to usage of the app, we had not been talking to our customers and actually extracting what it was that they needed and want,
mm,
we would not have been able to do. So I think having good like metrics on usage of the app is important, but there's nothing as invaluable as actually talking to your customers. The stuff that's not fancy, there's no
mm.
dashboard. It's just really talking to people and
Yes.
having the ear
Mm,
close enough to what they want. And to that
mm.
end, we also launched a WhatsApp community as well. So it's we decided to grow it over time, and we would encourage customers. So when you enter the app, we encourage you to join the community. We send you SMSs and emails because we felt like that would be the closest touch points for us to distribute information to them and
Mm,
also get feedback. And so we have people that sometimes they're just talking so much in the group chat. And
mm,
we
mm.
also have people that when someone raises an issue, they would actually defend us, and
Right.
ultimately we had a lot of customers come to us with feature requests. So
Mm,
even with the expense management feature that we launched, there's now new iterations of it that we are
mm.
putting out and we're working on just purely
Okay.
based on customer feedback. Yes, so I do think that the more manual, perhaps non-scalable ways have been very useful to us at this
Mm,
point in our growth, at least. Yes.
mm. And you do have some fans over here. So let me just quickly read some comments. Zipporah Dankwa says that I love Lada. This is such an amazing discussion. Innovator Spotlight is delivering again. Thank you, Zipporah. And I think she has a question or another prompt. She says, thanks for the honest and real insight. Using your own resources, it never feels enough. So being able to think of how to get your business in the green is definitely a confidence boost as a business person, and therefore the boost confidence of investors as well. Bravo, Mami. Wow, you really have some big fans.
Thank you, Sephora.
And Kwame wants to know how many co-founder breakups you have gone through so far and how you were able to handle it.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think I've had a couple of them. Um, I think ultimately, I think any relationship that doesn't work out, I believe it's usually due to a mismatch of expectations. I don't think it's because anyone is bad or anyone is right or anyone is wrong. I think there's just different expectations that come about, especially when you're starting a business. And so for me, I'm a very spiritual person, and ultimately, I feel that everything that I do is, is being ordered by the
Mm,
divine. And so, to that extent, I kind of have a mindset that I always have everything that I need. There's people that come in and they contribute to a specific part of the journey, and that contribution is invaluable, whether they end up staying in the long term or not. And so I believe that, well, if the divine is the one that's orchestrating this, whoever needs to stay will stay, whoever needs to be here for a season will ultimately leave, but eventually the company and me will all be fine. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. So I think that mainly from a centered place, you are able to go with the ebbs and flows because of what you believe in. Thank you for sharing that. And let's talk about regulation and compliance. So I think I saw that LADA is registered Delaware. Yes, has it
Yes, we are.
full in any way navigating regulations here in Ghana, or did you have to go through specific hurdles in Ghana?
Yes, so we are registered in Delaware. We're also registered here in Accra's Ladder Technology Systems. The
Okay.
idea was that the Delaware C Corp would be our holding company because we
Mm,
do have a Pan African vision. So we want
mm,
to be in different countries across Africa.
mm,
And I think having obviously a local entity is the thing to do. That's the right thing to do. Regulatory wise, what we have relied on so far has been to work with licensed partners, so licensed financial institutions that actually have the mandate to hold customer funds and facilitate the purchase and sale of investments.
mm,
And then as well, obviously, to process payments. So
mm.
our role, we believed in the ecosystem was to be kind of like a tech aggregator, right?
Right.
Where that means that we aggregate financial services from different financial institutions and then
Mm,
give our users the intelligence and technology to be able to effectively manage all of those services.
mm, mm.
Now we are taking a more direct approach. So what
Okay.
we're looking to do actually is to participate in regulatory sandboxes. So the Bank of Ghana has a sandbox, the SEC has a sandbox, and we want to
Mm,
do that as well so that we also, on our own 2 feet, would have some
mm,
level of our own licensing. It's an interesting environment because Ghana is a very specific dynamic. So
mm,
you, even though you technically can work with licensed financial institutions, I don't believe that regulators like that very much. They
mm,
still want you to make an effort and have their own like stamp of approval, which is fair
mm.
because they are ultimately there to protect the public and to protect consumer rights. So I think in Ghana, I don't think that it is too much of a hurdle to cross. Like
Okay.
it says a hurdle to cross, but I believe also that every like serious fintech, every serious financial institution or anyone that wants to be affiliated with financial institutions is
Mm,
going to have to do that anyway. So you might as well
mm.
just roll your sleeves up and get it done. Yeah.
Right, right. You roll up your sleeves and get it done. Okay, mommy. We are just 4 minutes into wrapping up. This is time for shameless plug. So I'm just going to give you the opportunity. What is Ladder up to? What exciting things can we look forward to? And if you have any big news to share, now is the time. So I'm going to give you the platform.
Okay, so we recently launched our new website. We used to be My Ladder, but we are now ladder.africa.
Okay.
And so with the new website, you can actually check us out and see more about what we are about. We have a little interactive tool for you to see how the AI lady works. And then we
Mm,
also have a free financial plan simulator where basically you enter in a few details for you and lady helps you build a custom financial plan. So that's
mm,
also a fun thing that we built in just for our customers to understand how their pictures look like as they are saving, spending, and investing their money.
mm.
And we also launched our spending feature as well, where you
Okay.
can basically track all the money that you're spending and earning from your different accounts. You can also put in your own transactions as well. So if you get money in your pocket and you want to track where the money is going, you can easily and seamlessly do that
Mm,
on the app. And this is all part of our hashtag Ladder is Home campaign, where we
okay.
are introducing ourselves to you as your ideal financial home.
Sounds really intimate. Thank you, Mame, for sharing. And like you mentioned, you can follow Ladder on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. On Instagram and Twitter, there are Ladder HQ, Ladder underscore HQ for Twitter, Ladder Dodge HQ for Instagram. But definitely check out their website, ladder.africa.com. If you are interested in finding out what Mame is up to, exciting news that she is putting out as well, you can check her out on LinkedIn at Maame Abrema Quarm and on Twitter at Abrema Quarm. Mame, thank you so much for joining us today. I learned so much from you. I miss being a startup co-founder, just listening to what you're saying. It's not
Thank you for
easy,
having me.
but you make it sound good. Yes. So for those who are joining, I've been speaking with Maame Abrema Quarm. She is the CEO of Ladder, and Ladder is an AI-driven platform that helps you to invest, save money, and also track your expenses. And she's been emphatic about Lady, which is their AI platform that helps you to do all this. So definitely check them out. We'll be back same time next week. We are Ghana Innovation Journal. This has been Innovator Spotlight with me. I'm Ammishaddai Ofori, and my guest today has been Maame Abrema Quarm, CEO of Ladder. Maame, thank you so much, and
Thank
looking
you
forward to hearing
too.
from you.
Thank
Yes.
you.
All right.
Take
Cheers.
care. Bye.